How expensive is it to eat healthy? Now, as somebody who has been low income most of her life, I am no stranger to grocery budgeting. And you can check out my catalog of other videos on this channel where I do break down how much food costs and show ways of saving money on food. Sometimes I even take it to some pretty heavy extremes for the sake of content. So I like to save money, and usually I have to save money, but I also like to be healthy. And in case you haven't noticed, food prices are really high right now. So with these changes in our economy, I kind of wanted to actually run the numbers and see how expensive it was now for me to eat healthy. Now, I'm just going to segue into my little disclaimer here on what is healthy eating anyway. Healthy food is a pretty highly contested concept, especially on YouTube. If you look at various other cooking channels up here, there is a lot of misinformation out there. The diet industry is huge, and they will tell you anything to try to sell you their products. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to define healthy food as nutrient-dense food, not calorie-dense food. I have done a video in the past where I demonstrated how often it is the calorie-dense food that tends to be cheaper and the nutrient-dense food tends to be more expensive if you're comparing like the price per calorie. And by calories, I mean like it makes you actually feel full, you're not hungry, but it does not nourish you. If you eat like that for a while, if you eat a bunch of starches and like simple foods that do not have very many nutrients, your body will be hungry after a while if you starve yourself of the nutrients. So that's what I mean by healthy for the purposes of this video. I know there's going to be people sounding off in the comments about gluten-free this, FODMAP that, carnivore diet this, vegan diet that. I don't want to hear any of it. I'm going to ignore all of those comments. Again, I am defining healthy food for the purposes of this video as nutrient dense. And I also want to do that within reason. I don't want to be one of those raw foodists that just like takes all these nutrient-dense veggies and fruits and makes juices and smoothies out of them, because as I have shown in another video, that can get extremely expensive. I wanted to look at what a more reasonably priced healthy diet looks like in today's economy. So let's see what I bought. So welcome to my lovely grocery haul. This is everything that I bought on the table. I've got proteins, Parmesan cheese, bacon ends and pieces, and chicken thighs, which are the cheapest chicken, cheapest meat, frozen strawberries in a bag, and also some frozen orange juice concentrate. And then we've got bananas as well for fruit, and grapes. You can barely see them, but I got grapes. And I also got a watermelon, lots of fruit because it was the summer and fruit is good. I also got a lot of apples and some lemons and some onions and a sweet onion and green onions, lots of different kinds of onions, garlic as well, and some ginger, as well as 1 potato and 4 cucumbers, 4 zucchini. 2 of them are yellow squash, which are tastier than regular zucchini, some Italian flat leaf parsley, some kale, and this beautiful lettuce I got at the farmer's market. It is an oak butter hybrid, as well as some beautiful heirloom tomatoes at the farmer's market and some grape tomatoes. And these sweet peppers, and a basil plant, because it's always cheaper to buy basil as a plant than just the leaves. This is an investment, like I will be using that over all of the summer. A big loaf of sourdough bread, locally baked from local grains from the farmer's market. Some mushrooms, I think I got like 8 mushrooms total. Those are creminis, by the way. I got some basmati rice in the bulk section, and these are brown rice from the bulk section as well, and an avocado. 2 avocados, actually. I'm so organized. Okay, these are treats for my husband, chocolate-covered espresso beans and yogurt-covered raisins. So I'm not actually eating those. Cashews for recipes and pistachios for recipes. I got all these at the bulk section of Winco, as well as these toffee peanuts for my husband. Chia seeds, also at the bulk section of Winco. You save a lot of money that way. That's why I like to buy them at the bulk. And for some reason, I'm showing you the espresso beans again. And I think, oh, yep. 1 can of evaporated milk for my tea habit. Okay, so that was my food haul for the week, and if you've watched other videos from other food vloggers, a lot of them will like to incorporate everything that they actually spent money on in that week in their diet, and if they don't eat everything that they bought, they still count the expense. I don't like to do things that way on this channel. I don't think it's very realistic because there's a lot of carryover when you buy things. You don't always like eat up the entire bag of rice that you bought that week. Maybe it takes you a few weeks to eat it up. and you still eat it. It doesn't disappear. So what I like to do is I like to pull from my pantry and freezer and fridge some of the items that I already had from previous shopping trips that I did pay for, and I calculate those expenses into everything. So when I run down everything that I actually ate, you may see some items in here that were not in my big grocery haul on the table. Just keep that in mind. So let's look at what I ate. So Saturday morning, like first thing in the morning before I went shopping, I had some food, so I'm not counting that breakfast. I'm going to count the Saturday breakfast at the end of the week as that breakfast. So we're actually going to start with lunch or tea time, and I went to the farmer's market and I got some delicious Swedish cardamom buns. So I had half of one of those with some tea. And this is where like at least 10 people watching this video will start typing angrily in the comments, "That's not healthy." Here's another disclaimer when it comes to healthy eating. I think that if something is good for your emotions and your mental health, I consider that healthy in moderation. And while I was trying to limit my sugar intake this week, a little sugar is good for you. It makes you happy. It makes food taste good. And I've been wanting to try Swedish cardamom buns for years now, and I saw them for sale at the baker at the farmer's market, and I'm like, I'm gonna get this, even though I'm doing a healthy week. So my very first meal in this healthy week was a Swedish cardamom bun with a cup of tea with cream and sugar. Gets better. The cardamom bun cost $3, and since I ate half of it and gave my husband the other half, my portion only cost $1.50. And my cup of tea with cream and sugar, I'm going to be having this a lot throughout the week. It's something that I love, and I have it just about every day. I did the calculations of like how much tea, how much sugar, and how much cream I used, and how much those all cost. So the cup of tea with cream and sugar was 25 cents. So for dinner, I made this tomato terrine. I don't remember what it was officially called, but my husband and I like to watch food YouTube together, and he saw this video that this one YouTuber did. I will link it down below. I do not remember this YouTuber's name, but it was this very delicious looking dish where it was sourdough toast with a pistachio basil pesto topped with tomatoes, and it looked really tasty. It looked like it was something we would both like, so I decided to make it for both of us. So the pesto consists of some basil, parsley, pistachios, red onion, extra virgin olive oil, aged Parmesan, lemon, garlic, kosher salt, cracked black pepper. And then you put this pesto on top of some toasted sourdough, which I also got at the farmer's market because if I'm going to make a special dish like this, I really want to use good bread. And this sourdough was really good bread. It was made with local grains, which I assume means that they're going to be a little more nutritious than like, you know, all-purpose flour that I buy at Winco. Even though that's gotten a lot more expensive recently. It's like doubled in price. Anyway, you spread some of that pesto onto some toasted sourdough bread, and then you top it with sliced heirloom tomatoes, which I also got at the farmer's market, along with another little drizzle of olive oil and some salt and pepper. And yeah, it was really, really yummy. The total cost of the tomato tartine, that little toast thing with pesto and tomatoes that I had, was $5.63. Again, that's not the cost of the whole recipe, just the one portion that I had for that meal. And then for dinner, I don't know if you could exactly call this dinner. I don't always eat like 3 meals a day. Sometimes I'll eat like 2 big meals and then a little tiny snack or something. But anyway, dinner, I'll just call it. I had 8 ounces of green juice. Only 100 calories. It's totally not dinner, but I ate enough food earlier in the day. Anyway, my green juice recipe that I make, this makes about 6 cups of it, is apples, cucumbers, and I also used some of the extra parsley so that it wouldn't go to waste since I had parsley. I used some kale that I got from the farmer's market and a lot of spinach and some celery. And the cost of the juice that I had was $1.27. So the total cost for my Saturday food, keeping in mind again that I'm not including breakfast, I'm going to tack that in at the end of the week. My total that day so far was $8.65. So we're already off to a kind of expensive start. But I don't know, I mean, if you compare that to eating out at like, you know, even cheap restaurants or fast casual dining, like that already is about the price of like a reasonably priced kind of cheap-sided lunch. So on to Sunday. So my initial cup of tea that I like to have in the morning, I have with just plain evaporated milk, not sweetened at all, no sugar added. I do this to curb my sugar consumption. That cost 36 cents. And I also had a cup of tea with cream and sugar for 25 cents. Then for breakfast, I guess, breakfast/brunch, I had black-eyed pea hash and a glass of iced tea. So this black-eyed pea hash, I actually have a recipe up on Patreon for my patrons. It is something that I improvise because I happen to have some leftover black-eyed peas from a burger recipe. I'm going through every burger in Bob's Burgers, and one of the veggie burgers required black-eyed peas, and I had leftovers. So I combined a half cup of black-eyed peas with some radish tops, some radish greens that I had left over from the previous week, some cherry tomatoes, some bacon, and some red onion, and a little salt and pepper. And I served it with a sauteed potato on the side and a glass of iced tea. And that whole meal, that whole portion, only cost $1.52 because legumes are cheap. And I paid for it later in farts. For lunch, I had a smoothie, and this smoothie consisted of a banana, a third of a bag of frozen strawberries, a cup of plain yogurt, 1/12 of the little can of orange juice concentrate that I bought, and 2 tablespoons of chia seeds and some water. So the whole smoothie was $2.31. For tea, I guess, my afternoon tea, I had some green juice, the same recipe as before, so $1.27. And then for dinner, I had half of what I had the day before of that tomato terrine thing on toast. So that was $2.82. And I also ate 1/4 of the watermelon that I bought, which cost $1.97, bringing my total cost for Sunday to $10.50. Monday for breakfast, I had my tea with evaporated milk, and then, like a good little millennial, I had avocado toast and green juice for breakfast. So my avocado toast consisted of 1/6 of that loaf of sourdough bread, an avocado, half a lemon, some cilantro, 1/15 of the cherry tomatoes that I bought. I was very specific. I measured everything to make sure I was calculating the prices correctly here. Salt, pepper, and 2 teaspoons of olive oil. The avocado toast cost $3.04 total, so my whole breakfast cost $4.31. For lunch, I guess it's not much of a meal, but lunch, I had 1/4 of the watermelon for $1.97. Oh, incidentally, I should add here, I calculate my calories. I always make sure that I eat at least 1,800 calories a day, and I try not to go too much above that. Like, I'm not trying to lose weight super actively, but I'd like to lose a little weight, and I want to make sure that I'm not under eating and starving myself in doing so. I want to be healthy while I'm losing weight, so I make sure that I eat at least 1,800 calories a day. So I was not hungry while I was doing this week, by the way, for any naysayers out there. Anyway, for dinner, I had a roasted chicken thigh along with some of that delicious cowpea hash. It was so tasty, and I still had more black-eyed peas left over that I made it again. So my entire dinner cost only $2.89 because chicken is a very inexpensive meat, bringing my Monday total to $9.78. Tuesday for breakfast, I had my customary tea with evaporated milk and my tea with cream and sugar. I mean, you can pretty much assume I have this every single day unless stated otherwise, and that cost 86 cents total. And then for breakfast, I guess, I had a roasted chicken thigh with vegetables and brown rice. And the vegetables that I had was one of the zucchini that I bought at the farmer's market, some of the spinach, some parsley, salt, pepper, and I used rendered chicken fat to saute this from the last time that I cooked chicken, so I'm counting this as free. Even though I had to buy chicken to get it, a lot of people would have thrown that out anyway, but I don't, so it's free. And then I also had some brown rice on the side, bringing my breakfast total to $2.29. For lunch, I had avocado toast, the exact same way that I had it the day before, so that's $3.04. And for dinner, I had cereal. It was healthier cereal, not sugar-loaded cereal. So I had 1/13 of the box of cereal and 1/16 of a gallon of milk, so my cereal dinner cost me 77 cents, bringing my Tuesday total to $6.96. For breakfast, I didn't have all of this just at the beginning of the day. I just notated it here just to get it out of the way. All of the tea that I had on Wednesday, I had tea with evaporated milk, tea with cream and sugar, and then just plain iced tea that I made in the sun for a total of 76 cents. For lunch, I had that roast chicken thigh with brown rice and vegetables again, only this time I didn't have any leftover chicken fat, so I used olive oil. So I factored that into the expenses, and that brought up my lunch total to $2.30 this time. And then for dinner, I had some falafel salad. So this falafel I made the week before, and I was hoping and expecting my husband would eat it, but he wasn't feeling very well and just wasn't eating very much. So I ate it, and it was a lot of fun calculating how much that cost. But anyway, I had 3 falafel. I do have a video for that, by the way, if you're interested in making that. It's a nice, cheap, delicious vegan food that you can eat. I made a simple salad dressing out of olive oil, red wine vinegar, salt, pepper, and a little teeny tiny bit of garlic clove. I used some lettuce, 1/16 of the lettuce for that matter, 1/4 of a cucumber, 2/15 of the tomatoes, and 1/12 of the Parmesan cheese block, bringing my salad to a total of only $1.79. And once again, I had cereal for dinner, same proportions for 77 cents, bringing my Wednesday total to $5.62. Thursday, for breakfast, I had tea with evaporated milk and tea with cream and sugar for 61 cents. And then for breakfast, because I just had some leftover brown rice with no plans, I often do this when I have leftover rice. I just had rice with butter. It's delicious, it's simple, it's really gentle on the stomach. It's a really nice little easy breakfast. And it only cost me 25 cents because rice is really cheap. And because it was brown rice, it was healthier. Now for lunch. Once again, when my husband and I were watching food YouTube, he found a recipe for cashew chicken stir fry, and he's like, I want you to make that. So I made it, chicken cashew stir fry. So the whole recipe consisted of 4 chicken thighs, a tablespoon of soy sauce, 1.5 tablespoons of oyster sauce, another 1.5 tablespoons of soy sauce, a tablespoon of fish sauce, a tablespoon of sesame oil, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon of Indian chili powder, a whole onion, 6 cloves of garlic, 3 cups of chopped pepper, which ended up being about half of what I bought, 1.5 cups of cashews, which was all that I bought at the bulk section of Winco, and a bunch of scallions, which was half of what I bought. So the total stir fry, which is 4 servings, only cost about $9.46. This is another pretty economical dish considering it's pretty healthy, what with the healthy meat of the chicken and the healthy cashews and the healthy peppers and other veggies. And then I served it with some jasmine rice, and I drank some hojicha on the side. If you don't know what hojicha is, it's a delicious Japanese roasted green tea. And my total lunch only cost me $2.70. Then for dinner, I had a smoothie, the same recipe I did before, which was $2.31, bringing my Thursday total to only $5.87. I was really surprised by this. This is actually not that expensive, and I ate some pretty good food and a really nice variety, and I had lots of fruits and veggies. Friday, my last whole day, I had tea with evaporated milk for 36 cents. I had the same chicken cashew stir fry that I had the day before with hojicha again, so $2.70 there. And then I had a nice cup of tea with cream and sugar for 25 cents. And then for lunch, I had a salad. Classic healthy food. I once again did my dressing of olive oil, red wine vinegar, salt, pepper, and a smidge of a garlic clove. And then I used 1/8 of a head of lettuce this time, 1/4 of a cucumber, 2/15 of the tomatoes that I bought, a 1/12 of a block of Parmesan cheese I bought, 2 hard-boiled eggs. This is like the first time in the whole week I'm actually eating any eggs. I wanted to eat more. I was planning on eating more. It just never happened. And 1/10 of that sourdough bread fried in some rendered bacon grease that I'm counting as free because it came off of the bacon that I already bought. I made croutons. And I tell you, these are great. If you want to put bacon flavor in your salad, but you don't have bacon, but you saved your bacon grease, just make croutons with the bacon grease and it tastes like bacon. And my total salad was $2.90. Then my dinner was really interesting. I had 1/4 of the grapes that I bought, which cost a whopping $1.26. Fruit's expensive. And I also had a delicious glass of carrot juice. I love homemade carrot juice so much. It's so tasty, and it's also really good for you. I made it with 6 carrots and a little tiny smidge of ginger, and it cost 63 cents, bringing my total dinner to $1.89, and my Friday total to $8.10. So Saturday, even though I started with Saturday, I started with, lunch, so breakfast, my final breakfast, I had tea with evaporated milk for 36 cents. And then I had just some odds and ends of veggies and other things that are kind of left over. And so I made a noodle veggie stir fry. I do this a lot when I just kind of have extra veggies and stuff that I want to get rid of. So I used a pack of ramen noodles, a head of black garlic, which I got for the Bob's Burger burger compilation. If you watch episode 2 of that, I did the black garlic burger at the end. That's why I have black garlic. I have so much of it. I could not buy just one head. I had to buy a whole giant thing of it. So slowly using that up. 1/4 of the total scallions, some rendered chicken fat, some soy sauce, sugar, a smidge of minced ginger, 1/4 of the squash that I had bought, so 1 squash, half of the mushrooms that I bought, and 1/16 of the bag of spinach. My total breakfast was $2.83. So when you combine that with the rest of my previous Saturday, the new total was $11.84. So that brings my entire week total to $58.67. That means that if I were to eat like this pretty much for an entire month, my grocery budget for just me would cost $250, which, oh my God, That's exactly what it is right now. I did not plan this, I swear. I was actually really surprised by this. I assumed going into this that it would be a lot more expensive than it was. Like, I wasn't going out of my way trying to spend like more money so that it would look expensive and I could be like, oh my God, healthy food's expensive. I genuinely wanted to know how expensive it was. And it was a really pleasant surprise because that is my current food budget. I spend $500 a month on food for me and my husband, so $250 each. So it was a really pleasant surprise seeing that I'm right on track, actually. So if you are a friend of the channel, you may remember a few months ago, back in April, I did a video where I tried to kind of just eat as cheaply as I possibly could. I ate a lot of stuff that I already had in my pantry, and I think I spent something like $15 on that week. I did not factor in my pantry staples that I added, so the actual cost was surely more than $15. But yeah, this week was easily more than twice as much as like the cheapest that I could possibly eat. But again, it was a lot cheaper than I thought it would be, and I think I have to attribute a lot of that to some of the cheaper food choices that I did make. Even though I did eat meat, I ate pretty much the cheapest meat you could buy. Chicken thighs in particular are really cheap because US Americans, for some reason, they don't realize that dark meat is actually a lot better than white meat. So chicken breast is really expensive because it's in high demand, but you know, thighs are cheaper, so win for me. And it's also worth mentioning again, because I know some people are probably going to be confused and jump to wrong conclusions. If you were paying attention, you would notice that I did not finish the entire giant head of lettuce that I bought, for example. Beautiful head of lettuce. Because I got that at the farmer's market, it was super, super fresh, and it lasted us at least a good 2 weeks. We continued to eat it the following week. So any food that I bought this week and did not eat this week, I ate in future weeks. So in conclusion, I know that people who watch these kinds of videos tend to fall into a couple different camps. I make these videos kind of more for entertainment than educational purposes. I don't mean for people to like watch these videos and then like copy everything that I do and eat exactly as I do, especially not when I make the videos where I make things as cheap as possible, because oftentimes those meals are very lacking in nutrients. While they will fill you up and you won't be hungry and they're good to get you through a hard week or maybe a hard month, they're not the best thing to like survive off of 100% of the time. But there's the people who watch these kinds of videos for entertainment, which is kind of more what I make these videos for. And then there are people who watch these videos more for like, well, what can I learn from this? How can I save money? And then of course there's people who fall into both camps. I mean, I guess to be fair, I kind of make these videos for people in both camps. I want to entertain people and show them, you know, how much money food costs, and also give them some ideas of like how they could save money or just ideas for food that looks good that they want to cook. So the best like advice I could give if you want to save money on food is don't do exactly what I did. Don't do literally what I did and buy exactly all the foods that I bought, because food costs different prices depending on where you are in the country or the world. Food costs different prices different times of the year too. So really the best advice I can give, because I learned a lot from doing this, just track your expenses. Like actually measure all of the food that you buy and use, and including all the stuff from your pantry. I know it like, some people hear that and they're like, nope, not happening, and it's totally valid if you're one of those people. But if you're really interested and curious about it, it might be worth it to actually itemize your costs of all of your food like I did in here, just to see what you're working with, to see how much money you are spending. At the very least, save your receipts and like look at your total expenses over the span of 3 months and maybe take the average and then see kind of where you're at. And then see if there's any adjustments you want to make, and look at the items on your receipts that cost more money and say, okay, maybe I'll buy less red meat and I'll buy more chicken, or maybe I'll buy less out-of-season imported endive and I'll buy more locally grown cheap cabbage. You might be surprised by what you learn, because I sure was. Also, just one final reminder, eating healthy is a little more expensive than not eating healthy, like let's not deny that, but eating healthy is actually also an investment that I am privileged enough to be able to afford right now. If I eat healthy, it means that I have more energy to work and earn more money, which will then help me buy more healthy food. If I eat healthy now, that also means I'm less likely to develop health problems down the line that will require my going to the doctor, not being able to work, having expensive medical bills. So even though eating healthy does cost more money now, sometimes it can save you money in the long run. And also, as a final note, I mentioned privilege earlier. If you have the ability to grow food and you have the time to grow food, now is a great time to get into growing food. With all this instability in the world, with crop failures, with rain and lack of rain and drought and all these other things, I think now is a great time, if you have the ability, start growing some food. And then if you have the ability beyond that, start sharing food with your neighbors, because not everybody does have the time or the resources to be able to cook and eat healthy like this, even though I think everybody deserves that. I have no ending for this, so I'm going to go straight into my credits. Thank you to all of my patrons for helping me pay for these groceries for this video. And for, this microphone that I used and the camera that I used and the lights that I used and all that. I'd like to give special thanks to Chrissy, Britt, Honey Badgers, Megan M, Matthew, Jenny D, Robert Z, Meru, Jocelyn, Manila, Gina F, Megan B, Data Fox, Stacy, Gina S, Ruth, Katie, Lonesome Screams, Mihir, Morgan, Vidfafo, Britta, Slawek, Veda, Colette, Sandra, and Andrea.